Yo, did you hear Jaden Smith broke down at Diddy's trial? People are saying he might be the secret witness. Jaden's talked before about trauma and losing himself.
It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't, and for the first time I had like a ego dissolution where
But now people are connecting it to something darker, something he saw at Diddy's parties when he was way too young to be there. And now he's finally speaking up. Let me break it down. The Diddy connection. Before we get too deep in the sauce, let me put y'all on. Diddy's facing 5 serious federal charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Trial's about to pop off May 5th in NYC, and homies locked down in Brooklyn after bail got denied. That's the factual backdrop. Big facts, no printer. With Diddy's situation looking mad sketchy, internet detectives been connecting dots and throwing Jaden's name in the mix. One wild claim suggests that probably the saddest part of Jaden's story is the fact that his own father, Will Smith, allegedly presented him to Diddy. That's heavy AF, but where them receipts at? Word on the block is that Jaden Smith has boldly said on record that he was exploited by both Diddy and his own father, Will. But is that really true? What's real interesting is how differently both families handling public scrutiny. Diddy got 7 kids: Quincy, Justin, Christian, Chance, twins Delilah and Jesse, 18, and Little Love, 2, and all of them showing mad support during his trial. They even dropped a joint statement in October saying, "We stand united, supporting you every step of the way." Meanwhile, Jaden's family facing their own type of heat, but it's more about personal drama and media narratives than actual criminal charges. Jaden himself has always been mad outspoken, especially on that Red Table Talk with his moms and grandma. Peep how open he gets about his psychedelic experiences. When asked what he wanted to talk about on the show, he straight up said mushrooms. Jada explained.
When we said we wanted to bring him to the table, I was like, well, what do you want to talk about? He said, mushrooms.
yeah. Yeah.
The magic kind, of course.
This kind of transparency is exactly what you wouldn't expect from someone being controlled or exploited by industry figures. Jaden explains his motivations clearly.
It started as pure curiosity.
And he describes how it changed his perspective on ego.
It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't, and for the first time I had like a ego dissolution where I was like, that was the moment that really changed me.
What got these Diddy rumors popping off is how they flipped normal father-son vibes into something sinister. Folks talking about videos of Will kissing Jaden, trying to make regular dad affection look sus. But if you actually watch the Red Table Talk where Will and his kids appear together, you see a normal, loving family dynamic. Will talks about how making emancipation affected him.
Yes, absolutely. Really dehumanizing.
And look at how Jaden responds, concerned about his dad's mental state.
Absolutely.
That's not the interaction of an exploited child with an abusive father. That's a son supporting his dad through a challenging professional experience. The gossip gets wilder with that time in 2018 when Jaden announced at Camp Flog Gnaw, "Tyler, the creator is my motherfucking boyfriend, and he's been my motherfucking boyfriend my whole life." This had Twitter fingers working overtime, but connecting this to some Diddy situation is a bigger stretch than yoga class. These rumors ain't just coming for Jaden, they dragging the whole Smith family. Some conspiracy theories claim Will and Jada sold their children to Diddy, especially after Diddy's cribs got raided. There's even a quote where Jaden supposedly said, "I couldn't walk for a week. My father worked with him, P. Diddy, and it caused trauma to both me and Justin Bieber." But Myth Detector investigated and couldn't find a single legit source where Jaden ever said this. But speaking of Bieber, he's one of the few real connections between Jaden and Diddy. There are resurfaced videos showing young Bieber with Diddy that got people side-eyeing the situation. One video from 2009 titled "Justin Bieber's 48 HRS with Diddy" is hitting different now with Diddy's legal drama.
Justin, right now he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him.
That clip got everybody feeling uncomfortable AF. And the rumors trying to drag Jaden into this same narrative, claiming numerous videos of them being too comfortable with each other at events like Coachella. So what we actually know about Jaden's mental health journey? He's been real about his struggles and coping methods. Back to that Red Table Talk, where he explained how psychedelics helped him break through mental barriers.
You get to a place in your life where you're blocked by something, whether it's a trauma, whether it's your emotions, your ego, not being able to express yourself. And then I feel like psychedelics are a way to tear down that wall and see what's beyond it.
He emphasized safety too.
Doing it guided with people that are professionals, I feel like really increases the chances of having that mystical experience.
This shows maturity and responsibility that contradicts the helpless victim narrative. Jada added her own experience.
Plant medicine 10 years ago to deal with my depression. And it knocked it out.
And she emphasized the serious nature of these experiences.
You gotta wanna do it. This is not play. Yeah. And you gotta be really willing to confront some hard stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very healing, and it's changed my life.
This insight into the Smith family's approach to mental health paints a very different picture than the exploitation narrative being pushed online. It shows a family that's open about mental health challenges and alternative approaches to healing, not one hiding dark secrets of exploitation. Now let's get into the latest in Diddy's trial. The freak-offs and Cassie's testimony. Yo, Cassie ain't just sharing minor beef. She's dropping bombs that got the whole industry clutching pearls. Her descriptions of what Diddy called freak-offs have the jurors looking sick to their stomachs and got spectators in the courtroom wondering what kind of twisted mess they walked into. But what were these so-called freak-offs that everyone keeps talking about? Let me break it down for you. According to what Cassie told the court under oath, these weren't just your regular industry parties where folks get lit and maybe hook up. Nah, these were full-on orchestrated sexual performances that sometimes went on for days, with everyone zooted off their minds on whatever cocktail of drugs Diddy was serving up that night. She testified that freak-offs caused medical issues such as urinary tract infections, mouth sores, and stomach problems, recovering with massages, and developing an opiate addiction starting in 2007. Diddy wasn't just hosting these joints, he was directing them like they were movies, controlling every single detail from jump. The prosecution brought receipts showing that these sessions included male escorts getting paid stacks to do the nasty with Cassie, while Diddy played director from the cut. When asked straight up what these dudes were getting all that paper for, Cassie kept it 100, saying they were paid thousands of dollars to do one thing, to ejaculate, to finish, and the bag wasn't guaranteed either. If Diddy wasn't feeling your performance, you might leave with less than promised. That's some wild power trip stuff right there. One of the most bizarre details about these freak-offs was Diddy's weird obsession with baby oil. When the prosecutor asked about this, Cassie said they'd go through somewhere close to 10 inches of the large bottles in just one session. That might sound like she was capping until you consider that when the feds raided Diddy's crib, they found more than 1,000 bottles of Johnson & Johnson baby oil stashed at his house. This wasn't just some little preference. It was a whole situation that required constant reapplication, like every 5 minutes. The most heartbreaking part of Cassie's testimony was when they asked her why she'd sometimes rush through these sexual encounters. Her answer was mad simple, but hit different. She just wanted it to be over. This wasn't some chick living her best life in an open relationship situation like Diddy's lawyers trying to paint. This was someone just trying to make it through some degrading mess, counting the minutes until she could bounce. She wasn't looking for pleasure. She was looking for the finish line. But Cassie's word ain't the only thing the prosecution's rolling with. They pulled up with that hotel surveillance footage from 2016 that CNN leaked to the public. That video is straight up damning evidence that shows Diddy chasing Cassie down a hotel hallway, knocking her to the ground and kicking her while she's down. That ain't something you can talk your way out of. It's right there in 4K for everyone to see, backing up everything Cassie been saying about the abuse. The security guard who showed up during that hotel incident, Israel Flores, came to court and added more fuel to the fire. He described rolling up on the scene and finding Cassie all huddled up in a corner with glass everywhere from a broken vase, while Diddy was looking at him with what he called a devilish stare. Flores noticed Cassie had a purple eye. You know what that means. And then claimed Diddy tried to slip him some bread to keep quiet, telling him don't tell nobody. That's the move of somebody who knows they just got caught doing something foul and is trying to cover their tracks. The testimony gets even more disturbing when you hear about some of the extreme stuff Cassie says she was forced to do. In court statements that had people looking like they wanted to throw up, Cassie described feeling like she was choking when Diddy allegedly made a male escort urinate in her mouth during one of these freak-off sessions. We're not talking about consensual bedroom activities between adults. We're talking about humiliating, degrading scenarios that she claims she was pushed into against her will. And how did Diddy keep her locked in this situation for so long? According to Cassie, it was straight up blackmail. She testified that Diddy threatened to release videos of these encounters if she ever tried to bounce, basically trapping her in the relationship by holding these videos over her head. That's some next level manipulation that had her stuck between a rock and a hard place. Cassie's testimony paints a picture of a relationship that was less about love and more about control and fear. She described how Diddy would basically dictate her whole existence, from telling her to rock specific lingerie and high platform heels to making sure her nails were always done up with white polish. These weren't just suggestions, they were demands that came with consequences if she didn't comply. The full story of what Cassie went through is still coming out through her testimony, but what we know already is enough to make your skin crawl. She described being really badly beaten and raped by Combs in 2018 when she tried to end things with him, showing that this wasn't just a few isolated incidents, but a whole pattern of abuse that spanned years. Diddy's defense team is trying to flip the script, claiming Cassie was down for whatever and was just trying to climb the ladder to wifey status. They're pushing the narrative that she spent 11 years trying to become his wife, suggesting she was with the business rather than being forced into anything. But the prosecution is hitting back with all the evidence evidence of the power imbalance. Diddy being older, richer, and holding all the cards when it came to her career and future. As Cassie continues to testify and face cross-examination, we'll get an even clearer picture of what was really going down behind closed doors. But what's already come out is painting Diddy in a light that's a million miles away from the champagne-popping, white party-throwing mogul we thought we knew. The jury's gonna have to decide if all this adds up to the federal charges he's facing, but in the court of public opinion, the verdict might already be in. Celebrity connections and industry implications. Y'all better buckle up because this Diddy case is about to drag half of Hollywood through the mud before it's all said and done. The fallout from this trial ain't just coming for Diddy. It's coming for a whole network of A-listers and industry players who've been rolling with him for years. As witnesses keep taking the stand and dropping bombshells, we're starting to see connections that got mad celebrities sweating bullets, wondering if their name's gonna get called next. This is bigger than just one man's trial. This could expose decades of sketchy behavior that everybody in the industry knew about, but kept their mouths shut on. From the jump, it was clear this trial was going to name drop some serious heavyweights. During jury selection, they straight up asked potential jurors if they had any feelings about certain celebs who might come up during the proceedings. Kanye West, Kid Cudi, and Michael B. Jordan were all mentioned as people whose names could pop up during testimony, letting us know these stars might be connected to what went down. It's not shocking that so many big names might be tied to this mess. For decades, Diddy positioned himself as the ultimate connect in the game, somebody who could make or break your whole career with a phone call. That kind of power created a culture where people either played ball or got left out in the cold. Nobody wanted to be on Diddy's bad side, which meant a lot of folks might have seen things but kept it pushing rather than risk their bag. One of the wildest connections that's already come out involves Kid Cudi. According to what Cassie told the court, Diddy went full psycho when he found out she was creeping with Cudi behind his back. Cassie testified that in 2011, Diddy threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car after discovering they were dating, and she claims the whip actually exploded later on. If that's true, we're not just talking about sex trafficking anymore. We're talking about property destruction and potentially putting someone's life at risk over some jealousy. The trial has also got people looking sideways at some old footage showing Diddy with young artists he was mentoring. The most sus clips involve Justin Bieber when he was still a teenager. There's this one video from 2009 called Justin Bieber's 48 HRS with Diddy that hits completely different now that we know what we know.
Justin, right now he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, you know, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him.
That we can't really disclose what they're doing with the teenage Bieber is mad suspect now that we're hearing about all these freak-offs and inappropriate behavior. And the way he casually drops that he had legal guardianship of Usher back in the day before clarifying he doesn't have that with Bieber. That's the kind of power dynamic that makes you wonder what was really going on when these young artists were under Diddy's wing. These connections ain't just limited to people directly mentioned in court. The case is shining a light on the whole network of celebrities who were thick as thieves with Diddy over the years, despite what some are now suggesting was an open secret about how he moved. As the allegations started piling up, mad former friends and collaborators have gone ghost, creating a deafening silence where there used to be nothing but love and respect. The controversy has even spilled into politics, with different players trying to use the Diddy situation to push their own agendas. Donald Trump Jr. tried connecting celebrity endorsements for Kamala Harris to Diddy's alleged freak-off parties, suggesting some blackmail scheme on his podcast. Even Elon Musk jumped in the mix, talking about Jennifer Lopez's lack of warning about Diddy when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, implying that people knew what was up but stayed quiet on purpose. These celebrity connections raise some serious questions about who knew what and when. It's not just about who partied with Diddy or who called him a friend, it's about who might have seen red flags but chose to look the other way. If big-time players in the industry were aware that foul stuff was going down but didn't say anything, that makes them part of the problem too, even if they weren't directly involved. Beyond the individual names that might come up, this case has major implications for the entire entertainment industry and how it handles power dynamics. The allegations against Diddy highlight all the problems critics have been pointing out for years: young talent getting exploited, drugs and alcohol being used to maintain control, and systems that protect the abusers while silencing the victims. Ty Sticlorius wrote in the New York Times about how Diddy's case is just the tip of the iceberg, showing a whole culture that needs fixing. This trial ain't just about whether one dude is guilty. It's about whether the whole system needs to be torn down and rebuilt to stop this kind of abuse from happening again. We don't know yet how all this is going to affect the careers of people connected to Diddy. Those who were super tight with him despite all the rumors might have some serious explaining to do. Others who were more on the periphery or who genuinely didn't know about the alleged crimes might escape with just some temporary discomfort, but nobody who is in Diddy's circle is completely safe from scrutiny right now. One group catching mad heat for sticking by Diddy is his own kids. All but his youngest, Love, who's only 2, have been showing up to court hearings and plan to be there throughout the trial. Some people see this family unity as a strategy to make jurors sympathize with Diddy, while others defend it as children just standing by their father no matter what. The situation with Diddy's children gets even more complicated because some of them got their own legal problems connected to the bigger case. Christian Combs is facing assault allegations, and Justin Combs is named in lawsuits for allegedly witnessing illegal activities, creating a whole family drama that's now playing out alongside their father's criminal case. As the trial keeps going, more celebrity names are bound to pop up, widening the circle of people caught up in the scandal. The prosecution has said they'll be calling multiple witnesses, each with their own perspective on Diddy's alleged criminal operation and the network of relationships surrounding it. These testimonies might implicate even more famous faces or add context to interactions that seemed innocent before but look mad suspicious now. How these celebrity connections ultimately play out depends largely on whether Diddy gets convicted or not. A conviction would likely end his career for good and spark major changes across the industry, while an acquittal might damage trust in the justice system, but possibly let some associates maintain their relationships without serious consequences. Either way, what's already come out has forever changed how many people view not just Diddy, but the whole ecosystem of power and privilege that supposedly enabled his behavior. In Jaden's case, evidence suggests a young person engaged in thoughtful, if unconventional, exploration of identity, consciousness, and self-expression. The Smith family's approach to parenting, while unconventional, appears grounded in principles of transparency, authenticity, and emotional openness. As Will Smith noted, "I'm making things to leave ideas for my children, and then it extends to other people's children, and then to the world." This framing of creativity as legacy and guidance contrasts with the exploitative dynamics alleged in more sensational narratives about Hollywood. Still, their mild connection to Diddy's case has raised important questions about accountability, power, and justice in entertainment. As one source notes, the question of who knew what and when will likely continue to loom large, both within the trial itself and in public discourse. These are valid questions deserving thoughtful consideration, particularly regarding industry structures that may enable abuse of power. Peace out, my G's. Check out our other videos for more content. After years of victims speaking out, Diddy is finally in jail, and it seems he may be locked up for life. The crimes he has committed for decades have suddenly caught up with him. Not only has he been accused of paying for Tupac's murder, but he may have had something to do with Michael Jackson's death. Stay tuned because you are in for a wild ride. From publicly shooting a woman in the face to drugging and sexually assaulting a woman in the 1990s, Diddy has never seen the light of day again. Diddy finally arrested. In a shocking twist, the music industry is rocked as Sean Diddy Combs, the legendary rapper and mogul, has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking. The 54-year-old was detained at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan, leaving fans and the public in disbelief. This high-profile arrest comes amid a wave of allegations and lawsuits accusing Combs of sexual assault. The charges are serious, and the court has ordered him held without bail. On the morning of Tuesday, September 17th, the music world was shaken to its core. Sean Diddy Combs, a name synonymous with hip-hop royalty, was arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan. The 54-year-old music mogul, known for his larger-than-life persona and influence in the industry, was taken into custody by officers in a dramatic turn of events. The arrest took place at the luxurious Park Hyatt Hotel, a location that epitomizes the opulence and success that Diddy has enjoyed throughout his career. However, on this fateful day, the hotel became the backdrop for a scandal that would send shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, announced that the arrest was based on a sealed indictment. While the specific charges were not immediately disclosed, the gravity of the situation was evident. With no charges attached to Diddy's name, the internet went wild with speculation. One of the crimes the internet thought Diddy had been arrested for was the assault on his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, which was caught on camera. Although Cassie and Diddy had already settled their case out of court, there was wide speculation that the video may have been used to get Diddy behind bars. The other crime that people thought could have landed Diddy behind bars was Tupac's murder. There has been speculation that the suspect arrested in Tupac's murder, Keffe D, would testify against Diddy. This wouldn't be the first time he turns on Diddy, as he confessed years ago that Diddy wanted Tupac dead and even paid for the hit. According to Keffe D's account, he and Diddy discussed the hit on Diddy's enemies once at a concert in Anaheim and a couple of times at Greenblatt's Deli on the Sunset Strip. He took me downstairs and he's like, "Man, I want to get rid of them dudes, man." I was like, "We'll wipe their ass out quick, man, it's nothing." Keffe D revealed to the feds. He even revealed that Suge Knight was the only on the hit list. Tupac's name was added to the hit hit list after he made a diss track that publicly and brutally mocked Diddy and his record label. When Combs asked about Shakur and Knight, would he always say both of them? A detective can be heard asking Keffy D during the interrogation. He added the boy Shakur on after he made a record, the ex-gangster replied. Before that, it was just Suge. And then after Hit 'Em Up came out, the detective asked, and Keffy D replied saying, yeah, that pissed Combs off. Most ironically, Keffy D says he never got the money Diddy had allegedly offered him for the hit. According to the ex-gangster, he had asked for $1,001,000 in a meeting prior to Tupac's death. According to Keffy D, word on the street is that Diddy gave half the reward to a man named Eric Von Zip, who never relayed it back to its rightful owner. The most damning information on Diddy's involvement with Tupac's murder was ex-cop Greg Kading's book, Murder Rap, which highlighted Keffy D's confession in detail and even spawned a documentary exposing Diddy, which he has always denied.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect.
But Tupac's death isn't the only strange incident that Diddy has been connected to, as the internet speculated that he could have been arrested for Michael Jackson's murder. As strange as that might sound, the evidence may shock you, and it has everything to do with his head of security, Fahim Muhammad. So who exactly is Fahim Muhammad, and how is he connected to Michael Jackson and Diddy? It turns out that Fahim Muhammad was Diddy's head of security, and was key in helping him get away with his crime. Fahim had deep connections within law enforcement, and could make any problem disappear. In fact, a damning lawsuit filed by Lil Rod claims that Diddy instructed his employees to call Fahim anytime they were in trouble with the law, and he could make their problems disappear. One of the most disturbing crimes that Lil Rod. He had witnessed Fahim cover-up involved a 2022 incident at Chalice Recording Studio in Hollywood while Diddy was hosting a writers and producers camp. Jones alleges Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend, G, were in a heated conversation in the studio's bathroom when shots rang out. Jones claims the rapper and his son left the bathroom, but G was lying on the floor, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg area. Lil Rod says he ran to help the man and sat him on the toilet while calling for others to get an ambulance. Photos in the lawsuit allegedly show G's blood on the studio's restroom floor and toilet stemming from this incident, but when authorities later arrived, Lil Rod says Diddy gave strict instructions to lie to them and say G was shot outside of the studio by a drive-by assailant. According to LAPD's investigation, the victim was shot outside the studio during a robbery and then ran into the studio bleeding. However, Lil Rod says he witnessed the LAPD spend hours in the studio after the shooting, including in the bathroom, and make no arrests. Well, what is strange is that Fahim Muhammad was among the first people on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The cleanup guy, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, was also on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
What is even stranger is the fact that he was only 21 at the time and worked as MJ's head of security. Did Fahim, at 21, have the credentials to protect a pop star of Michael's caliber? What exactly were his qualifications at the time? Well, it turns out just 1 year before MJ's death, Fahim graduated from Sacramento State University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration with a concentration in real estate and marketing. Why would a business graduate be in charge of the king of pop security? Was Diddy in any way involved? Something obviously seems fishy with the whole situation. It seems Diddy's world crumbled after Lil Rod's lawsuit because it exposed many of his evil dealings. From freak-offs to drugging underage girls, this lawsuit may be the reason Diddy is in cuffs. The Lil Rod lawsuit. The lawsuit that may have finally led to Diddy's downfall was filed by his former producer back in February. After failing to settle the lawsuit out of court, it has been downhill for the music mogul. From feds raiding his homes to now being behind bars, Diddy wishes he had settled the lawsuit earlier. Rodney Lil Rod Jones filed the lawsuit accusing Diddy of sexual assault. These allegations span from September 2022 to November 2023, during the production of Diddy's latest album. Lil Rod had been hired to work on Diddy's latest album, a project that required close collaboration and long hours. According to Lil Rod, the first incident occurred during these sessions. In September 2022, Lil Rod alleges that Diddy began making inappropriate advances. He claims that Diddy would grope his genitals and touch his ass, actions that Lil Rod describes as grooming him for sex. These incidents reportedly occurred in the recording studio, where the two spent countless hours working on the album. The allegations continued into October 2022. Lil Rod claims that Diddy would walk around naked in front of him, downplaying these actions as horseplay. According to Lil Rod, this behavior was part of of a pattern of inappropriate conduct that made him increasingly uncomfortable. In November 2022, Lil Rod alleges that Diddy subjected him to unwarranted sexual attention from his associates. This includes actor Cuba Gooding Jr. and a female cousin of Diddy's girlfriend, Young Miami. Lil Rod claims that the female cousin once tried to have sex with him in front of Diddy, an incident that left him feeling violated and powerless. The most disturbing allegations come from an incident in February 2023. Lil Rod claims that he was forced to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts with them at Diddy's request. He further alleges that during one of Diddy's infamous drug-rampant parties, he was drugged and raped. Lil Rod recalls waking up naked, dizzy, and confused in bed with Diddy and two sex workers. This incident, he says, left him traumatized and fearful for his safety, but there's more. According to Lil Rod, Diddy has been secretly recording explicit sex tapes of various celebrities and politicians using hidden cameras strategically placed throughout his lavish homes during his notorious freak-off parties. While living and traveling with Mr. Combs, Mr. Lil Rod discovered that Mr. Combs has hidden cameras in every room of his homes, the lawsuit read. Mr. Lil Rod believes that Mr. Combs has recordings of defendants Lucian Charles Grange, Ethiopia Habtemariam, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. The implications of these claims are nothing short of staggering. If true, Diddy's secret sex tapes could potentially expose the private lives of some of the most influential and powerful individuals in the world. From A-list celebrities to high-ranking politicians, no one would be safe from the prying eyes of Diddy's hidden cameras. It is important to note that Lil Rod alleges these individuals were recorded without their knowledge or consent, making the situation even more disturbing. The violation of privacy and the potential damage to reputations cannot be overstated. The mere existence of these compromising tapes raises questions about the lengths Diddy was willing to go to obtain such intimate footage. These individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent, and as is the case with the homosexual sex tape of Stevie J that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Lil Rod, Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Upon information and belief due to this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession, Mr. Combs believes that he is above the law and is untouchable, the lawsuit read. Lil Rod alleges that Combs showed him a recording of American DJ, record producer, and television personality Stevie J engaging in anal intercourse with a man. According to Lil Rod, Combs used this recording to manipulate and solicit him, suggesting that such behavior was common in the music industry. Diddy knew Lil Rod looked up to and idolized Stevie J and used the recording to solicit him. This is a normal practice in the music industry. Look, even Stevie J is doing it, Combs reportedly told his Lil Rod. These hidden cameras were not the only disturbing aspect of Diddy's alleged actions. Lil Rod also accuses Diddy of engaging in sexual misconduct, forcing drug use, and grooming. It is claimed that Diddy regularly partied with sex workers and underage girls, requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements. Even Diddy's neighbors revealed that underage girls would be brought to the house in bus loads at 3 in the morning.
Stop bringing all the minors over here late at night. I live right next to him. He do too much. It be like buses, like big ass buses. You can see all type of shit hop out. Especially at nighttime, like around 3 o'clock in the morning. It gets wild. I'm his neighbor.
Interestingly, Diddy's parties were exposed years ago, but everyone thought the accusations were too wild to be true. The man, identified as Jonathan Oddie, even claimed to have slept with Cassie and Diddy in the freak-offs. In the interrogation video, which was recorded in 2018, he claimed to have a special and recurring sexual relationship with Combs and his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
I had with Cass and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie.
Oddie referred to himself as their sex slave, a term that sent shockwaves through the media and raised questions about the dark secrets of the entertainment industry.
I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was.
But what made these claims even wilder is that he implicated high-profile figures in the rap world, such as Rick Ross and DJ Khaled.
Who? Both Diddy and Ross and Khaled. They're all gay.
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They're all gay?
Yeah.
Interestingly, Jonathan claimed that he may have kept one of the recordings of the freak-offs. He claimed that Diddy paid him for the recordings. However, they accidentally gave them back to him and he may have made copies.
They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible I threw everything out. It's possible I can produce a copy.
And as Lil Rod's lawsuit hangs over Diddy's head like a dark cloud, he may be lucky because he has gotten away with heinous crimes in the past. From attempted murder to beating up his ex-girlfriend, Diddy has proven to be a monster. Diddy's assault charges. But the first time Diddy was ever publicly accused of assault was back in 2019 by his ex-girlfriend Gina Hewin. Gina Hewin, also known as Virginia 5, first came into the public eye when she shared intimate videos of herself and Diddy on her Instagram. These videos, which showed the two getting quite cozy, were quickly taken down, but not before the gossip outlet The Shade Room got a hold of them and shared them on their popular social media accounts. This was just the beginning of a series of revelations that would shock the world. Gina Hewin and Diddy had an on and off relationship that spanned several years. According to Gina, their relationship was tumultuous and filled with abuse. She described how Diddy would stomp and hit her, leaving her mentally, emotionally, and physically scarred. One of the most harrowing incidents Hewin described was when Diddy allegedly stomped on her stomach with such force that it knocked the wind out of her.
He stomped on my stomach really hard, and I took the wind out of my breath. I couldn't breathe. He took my hair and was dragging me across the grass in my hair.
This horrifying account is just one example of the physical abuse Hewin claims to have suffered at the hands of Diddy. She also alleged that he grabbed her by the hair and punched the back of her head repeatedly.
So I was laying on my back, and he stood over me, and he started punching me like this. He avoided my face, but he started punching me on the side of my head, and I was just covering my face.
But the abuse wasn't limited to physical violence. Hewin also described how Diddy subjected her to emotional and mental abuse. She claimed that he would constantly compare her to Cassie, telling her she was the bad one, while Cassie was the good one.
He would always compare me to Cassie and tell me that I'm the bad one and she's the good one.
But it turns out that Diddy had been abusing women long before meeting Gina Hewin. In 2023, women started coming forward, accusing him of some pretty wild crimes. The first woman to come forward was Joy Dickerson Neal. The story of Joy Dickerson Neal and Sean Diddy Combs begins in the vibrant and competitive world of the 1990s music industry. Joy Dickerson Neal was part of the same social circle as Diddy, who was then an up-and-coming music mogul. Their paths crossed professionally when they both appeared in the music video for Straight from the Soul by Finesse and Sinquis. Joy asserts that despite their professional relationship, she consistently rejected Diddy's persistent advances. She was focused on her career and education, determined to make a name for herself in the industry on her own terms. However, Diddy's interest in her was relentless. On January 3rd, 1991, during a school holiday break, Joy reluctantly agreed to an early dinner with Diddy. They dined at the famous Wells restaurant in Harlem, the home of chicken and waffles since 1983. After their meal, Diddy persuaded Joy to accompany him as he attended to some errands in the city. This seemingly innocent request would lead to events that would change Joy's life forever. She got into his car, a decision she would regret deeply. During their time together, Diddy allegedly drugged her, rendering her unable to stand or walk independently. Joy found herself in a vulnerable and helpless state, unable to comprehend the full extent of what was happening to her. Diddy first drove to a music studio that should have been familiar and safe for Joy. However, in her incapacitated state, she was unable to leave the car. From the studio, Diddy took her to a place he was staying. It was here, away from the public eye and any potential help, that he allegedly sexually assaulted her. The trauma of the assault left Joy in a state of shock and disbelief. She chose not to seek medical attention or report the incident to the police due to fear, shame, or the belief that she would not be believed. Instead, Joy withdrew into self-isolation at her home, grappling with the emotional and psychological aftermath of the assault. Joy confided in her best friend about the alleged assault when she felt safe enough. This act of confiding in someone she trusted was a crucial step in her journey toward healing, but it did not erase the trauma she had endured. The betrayal she felt was compounded when she later discovered that Diddy had secretly recorded the incident without her knowledge or consent. This revelation came from Devontae Swing, a mutual friend, who informed her that Diddy had shown him the tape. When she asked who else had seen the footage, Devontae chillingly responded, "Everyone." Devontae purportedly wanted to take a stand against Diddy, but feared that his band, Jodeci, might lose their record deal. Diddy was Jodeci's A&R at the time, and Devontae's fear of jeopardizing his career led him to remain silent. This betrayal added another layer of trauma to Joy's already devastating experience. The knowledge that her assault had been recorded and shared without her consent was a violation that compounded her suffering. The multiple traumas Joy experienced resulted in severe emotional distress, impacting her mental health, education, and career. The sexual assault, coupled with the humiliation and psychological torment of the video recording, affected her ability to function. She suffered from flashbacks and insomnia, eventually dropping out of school. Struggling with suicidal thoughts, she sought psychiatric care and was diagnosed with clinical depression. Will Joy get justice? Only time will tell. But away from Diddy's physical abuse and sexual misconduct, Diddy has also been accused of attempted murder, a crime that someone else paid the price for. This is none other than the 1999 club shooting at a club in New York. On December 27, 1999, Diddy and his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez had been celebrating a soon-to-be-released album by Shine, Diddy's 21-year-old protege, at Midtown's Club New York. The night started like any other glamorous evening in Manhattan, with Diddy and J-Lo enjoying the vibrant nightlife. Little did they know that the evening would take a dark and tragic turn. As Diddy's entourage was leaving carrying a bottle of champagne, he accidentally bumped into one of the club's patrons, knocking a drink out of his hand. The man, Matthew Allen, a street tough known as Scar, responded with a shove. Things escalated as one of Allen's companions allegedly threw a stack of money in Diddy's face.
Puffy and Shine allegedly got into an argument with another partier shortly before 3 a.m. Someone tossed a wad of cash at Combs as a sign of disrespect. Suddenly, all hell broke loose.
Suddenly, gunshots shattered the air, cutting through the music and plunging the club into chaos. Amidst the chaos, 3 innocent bystanders found themselves caught in the crossfire. Bullets struck 2 men and a woman. The woman, shot in the face, was rushed to hospital where she fought for her life. Diddy and J-Lo were detained after a gun was found in their car as they left the nightclub.
Gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
Police charged Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez with felony gun possession.
The vehicle was stopped because it was fleeing the scene and because it jumped a set of red lights. The gun was found lying in the car and was identified as one that had been reported stolen in Georgia, and none of the 4 occupants of the car had a license for the gun. However, in 2001, a Manhattan jury acquitted the hip-hop mogul of all charges brought against him, which included 4 counts of illegal possession of a gun and 1 count of bribery. But this is where the story gets a little more interesting. Shine, who was Diddy's protege, was found guilty of 5 of the 8 charges against him. As it turns out, one of the victims of Diddy's shooting has been trying to tell the world that the music mogul shot her for years. However, her testimony has fallen on deaf ears for over 2 decades.
Yeah, and you have said since really right after the shooting that it was P. Diddy who shot you.
I said it immediately. I literally watched them pull out the guns. I've had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sake, I got shot in my nose.
Rapper Shine has also maintained that Diddy threw him under the bus. According to Shine, Diddy's legal team called a witness to the stand to testify against him.
It's not a matter of, turning your back on me. Like, how do you call a witness to testify against your comrade?
The witness that Shine was talking about was Charisse Myers, a bouncer at the nightclub. According to Myers, when the shooting started, she fell on top of Diddy, and the music mogul didn't have a gun with him at the club. However, what she said next drove the last nail in Shine's coffin.
But even as her testimony helped exonerate Puffy, it implicated Shine. Myers told jurors that it was Shine who first opened fire inside the club, letting off 2 shots toward the ceiling. Shine's lawyers conceded that their client fired his gun, but only in self-defense.
Diddy has long maintained that he didn't throw Cheyenne under the bus.
I did not force anybody or tell anybody to say anything that would damage or hurt Shine's case.
And now the case may be reopened. Will Diddy finally serve his time for these crimes? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.